Hi YouTube, it's Kathy and welcome to the A to Z of Queer Lit. I saw this video first over on Adriana's channel at Perpetual Pages, but I've seen other people have also done it. And basically it just looked like a really fun challenge. What the challenge is you're trying to go through the entire alphabet and get either book titles or author names that happen to have that letter in them and matching them up and giving book recommendations. And then of course obviously there's gotta be a queer element and it's lit, so all fiction. I did manage to get a book for every single letter of the alphabet. I've read 24 out of the 26 in entirety, and I've read the first 5 or 6 chapters of the other 2 books, and I'll talk about those when I get to them. If you follow me on Instagram, that might explain why this happened. Basically, I've spent a lot of my life knowing that makeup is an art form, and I have not learned that art form, so it's always really scared me, but in an attempt to get more color into my life, I bought myself some makeup and I'm trying it out. This is actually the first time I used it, and I don't think that this part turned out too badly. This needs work. For A, we have Annie on My Mind by Nancy Garden. This is a book from 1982 about 2 girls falling in love in New York, but I read this one late last year and it's a queer classic. For B, we have Boy Meets Boy by David Levithan. This one is just adorable. It takes place in this universe where high school is much kinder, and it's just an adorable story of 2 boys falling in love. Highly suggest the full cast recording if audiobooks are your type of thing. For C, we have The Long Way to the Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. This is a sci-fi novel, the first in a series that I absolutely adore, and it is full of diversity. For D, we have Dreadnought by April Daniels. This is the first in a series about a transgendered girl who happens to get superpowers. For E, we have the first book on this list that I haven't read in entirety, and that is Elsewhere by Catherine Burns. So this one has a little bit of a story behind it for me. Back in December I went to PodCon and I was actually hosting the Let's Talk About Books meetup, and I said that if people wanted to bring a book to exchange with another participant, to do that. Well, Catherine Burns was one of the participants. She showed up a little bit later and the book exchange had already happened, and she just happened to mention that she was an author and she had a couple of her books and they happened to be queer and talk about mental health, and I went, gimme. Now, please. She was nice enough to do that, and she was also nice enough to sign it for me. Because I didn't want to put any books on this list that I hadn't read yet, I did make sure to read the first 5 chapters of this last night in preparation for this video, and I'm really enjoying it so far. So look for that in a weekly entertainment wrap-up coming soon. For F, we have Stranger Than Fanfiction by Chris Colfer. This is a road trip novel about 4 friends who are going on a road trip before they go off to college, and each of them has a secret, one of them being that he is gay. This next one is the other book I haven't read in entirety, but I have read the first 6 chapters, and I absolutely adored them. This isn't actually going to be published until September, is what the internet is telling me right now. And it also doesn't have a cover yet, so I grabbed some fan art off the internet, and that's An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. Hank Green started this book as a NaNoWriMo project and then was posting chapters on Patreon for people to give him feedback, and I was lucky enough to be one of those people and read some of the chapters, and I absolutely love this story. It's about a bi girl named April May, and yes, I want it to be a real thing, and it's going to be a real thing, and I'm very excited about it. Moving on to H, that is For History Is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera. Don't get me wrong, this book might break you if you're the crying type. It's about a boy whose ex-boyfriend has died tragically, and he's still in love with him, and now he has to deal with his ex-boyfriend's boyfriend. For I, we have If I Was Your Girl by Meredith Russo. This is an Own Voices book about a trans girl. The cover model on this book is also a trans girl, and if you listen to the audiobook, it is read by a trans girl. That last fact being something I picked up from Adriana because I didn't know that. For J, we have Ramona Blue by Julie Murphy. I actually did a whole buddy read book review with my friend Paige about this book, and we both absolutely loved it. For K, I picked a novella called Knit One, Girl Two by Shira Glassman. This one is just a very adorable story about 2 geeky Jewish women, and I just wanted it to be a full-length novel. For L, we have The Lotteries Plus One by Emma Donoghue. I read this at the beginning of last year, and it's about 2 couples, 2 women and 2 men. They find a winning lottery ticket when one of the women is about to give birth. They decide to all move in together, all change their last name to Lottery, and raise many children. Emma Donoghue wrote this book because we don't see many books with alternative parenting styles. For M, we have Ash by Melinda Liu. This is a queer retelling of Cinderella. I just don't even need to say any more, do I? For N, we have Not Your Sidekick by C.B. Lee. This is about a girl whose whole family is superheroes, but she's getting to that point where if she's going to get powers, they should have manifested by now, so I guess I'm not a superhero, and her having to deal with that. For O, we have Otherbound by Corinne Davis. You might know that name because she's the one that came up with the term own voices. And this book has a dual narrative, one in basically our world and another in a fantastical world that has magic and a princess that needs to be saved, and also the only one that can really save the princess is another woman. For P, we have Paulina and Fran by Rachel B. Glasser. I read this one quite a while ago, so I'm a little bit fuzzy on the details, but basically they are in school together, they go away on a trip, things get real intense, and then you never really know if they're gonna get together again after that. It's a really big will they or won't they book. For Q, we have Queens of Geek by Jen Wilde. I did another buddy read book review with my friend Sarah on this one, and it's just so cute. This is another dual narrative that follows some friends who are going to a convention together, and both of the friends end up falling in love with people, and it's wonderful. For R, we have Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. This one is about a girl who's obsessed with a very indie podcast, actually does fan art for it, and it just goes from there. This was one of my favorite books of last year. For S, we have Simon vs. the Homo Sapien Agenda by Becky Albertalli. This was just an absolute delight, and I listened to it as an audiobook, and it was highly enjoyable. For T, we have Tipping the Velvet by Sarah Waters, which is actually the pick for this month's read for my local book club. Sarah Waters writes historical fiction, which is based around lesbians, which just means I need to read more of her books. For U, we have Girl Man's Up by M.E. Gerard. I read this one last year while I was in Boston for NerdCon Nerdfighteria, and it's about this girl who refuses to present as feminine because that's just not her. I can't remember if they actually used anything like genderqueer or gender fluid in this book, but I feel like that's what this character was. For V, we have Orphan Number 8 by Kim Van Alchemade. This is another historical fiction, and it also centers around lesbians, and it was a very enjoyable listen. It has to do with this woman who finds out that when she was a child she had medical testing done on her against her will because she was an orphan and they could just apparently do that, and how that might have resulted in her poor health now. For W, we have We Are Okay by Nina LaCour. This is about a girl who basically runs away from her life when something tragic happens, and it goes from there. For X, we have Middlesex by Jeffrey Eugenides. This one I read quite a while ago, so I'm hazy on all the details, and I have a feeling that a lot of the language is outdated because this is an older book, but this is about someone who finds out that they are intersex. For Y, we have Every Heart a Doorway by Shauna McGuire. This is the first in a series that is a darling on BookTube right now, and I'm very excited to read the third one. But anyway, this one centers around a home for children who have gone off to other fantasy worlds and then come back and have to figure out how to live in the real world again. And last but absolutely not least, especially if you listen to the audiobook, is Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Elias-Sainz. Yes, the Z is at the very end of that one, and I'm counting it. This is a discovering your identity story about Latinx youth, and if you listen to the audiobook, it is narrated by Lin-Manuel Miranda, so listen to the audiobook. And there you have it, 26 recommendations. If you've read any of these books, please let me know about it down in the comments below because I would love to talk to you about them. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you next time. Bye!